In our last episode, we learned the general basics of what a roller coaster is, along with some general terminology and how they operate. So today we're going to learn about the different models of roller coasters that are out there. These rides vary by height, speed, forces, and many other variables to be discussed in today's episode. Welcome back to Roller Coasters for Dummies. Episode 2. Types of Coasters. What's up guys, Dr. Coaster here and welcome back to another video on the channel, where today we will be continuing with Roller Coasters for Dummies, my quest to educate the general public and new enthusiasts alike on all things roller coasters. Before we dive our way into this review, if you haven't already, then be sure to drop the video a like, as it helps me fight the YouTube algorithm. While you're at it, subscribe to the channel as well for more roller coaster and theme park content just like this. The simplest place to start this episode is to discuss the two standard classifications of roller coasters, wood and steel. Wooden coasters have been around for over a century now, but have evolved quite drastically over the years. These coasters began as rather simple railways, then morphed into rides more similar to what you find on the Coney Island Cyclone. These rides did not bank or invert and featured simple, level turns and multiple drops throughout their layouts. Some of these rides are still standing today, but wooden coasters have been designed more aggressively in recent years. Today's wooden coasters can feature steep banking, turns, and drops, and some now even feature inversions, like this corkscrew seen here. Wooden coasters require more annual maintenance on the part of parks and manufacturers, unlike steel coasters, but they still provide a more classic ride experience to this very day. Steel coasters are much easier for a park to maintain, and are also more dynamic in the form of the ride experiences that they can provide. In fact, the remainder of this video consists of only steel coaster models for just that reason. The first modern steel coaster was the classic Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland in Anaheim, California, and manufacturers have only continued to evolve since then. While it is easiest to divide coasters into wood and steel coasters, there is also another coaster classification known as a hybrid coaster. As the name suggests, this is a roller coaster consisting of both wood and steel. This is the most commonly wooden supports and steel track, but in some rare instances, can be steel supports and wooden track. Most hybrid coasters are conversions of old wooden coasters that needed a new breath of life, while others have built up from the ground in that same manner. This allows an old ride to get an upgrade without a park having to tear it down completely and purchase an entirely new ride, making it much more affordable. Due to their thrilling ride experiences provide, hybrid coasters are some of the fan favorites at parks that have them. Coasters can also be subdivided based on their height. These are most commonly split into Hyper, Giga, and Strata coasters, but other classifications do exist. A hypercoaster is a roller coaster that stands at least 200 feet tall and/or features a drop of 200 feet. I included the and/or because, believe it or not, people like to argue over this and it's just quite stupid. There is a wide variety of hypercoasters available on the market, and most major parks have one in one form or another. A Giga coaster is a roller coaster that stands at least 300 feet tall and/or features a drop of 300 feet. This coaster model is more rare due to the price tag associated with them, but they are incredibly thrilling rides, typically focused on a great first drop and speeds in excess of 90 miles per hour. There are currently 7 Giga coasters operating in the world. Lastly, a Strata coaster is a roller coaster that stands at least 400 feet tall and/or features a drop of 400 feet. There are currently only 2 Strata coasters in the world, with one currently undergoing an extensive renovation. Both of these coasters feature a launch to propel their riders over 400 feet into the air. King Ka is currently the tallest coaster in the world at 456 feet tall, but the first 500-foot coaster in the world is currently being built in Saudi Arabia, so we'll have to add another category to this list in the near future. There's also the possibility that Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, the coaster currently under renovations, could reach that height before it. It's set to open next year, but the plans are still under wraps. All roller coasters are also divided into general categories such as kiddie, family, and thrill coasters. These are very self-explanatory and you just kinda know it when you see it. If a ride is short and slow, probably designed for kids. If it's tall and fast, it's probably a thrill coaster, and if it's somewhere in the middle, then it's probably a family coaster. Regardless of what height or what speed, or what the ride limitations are, expect enthusiasts to try to ride every single one of them, no matter the cost. Rider position is also another way to classify a roller coaster. These are most commonly categorized as sit-down, stand-up, and flying coasters. Sit-down coasters vary very widely and fit into any number of further categories on this list. stand-up coasters became popular in the 1990s, but quickly fell out of favor by park guests due to how uncomfortable these rides were. Many of these rides were converted to sit-down rides for that reason, but a few of the more favorable stand-up coasters still remain. In fact, SeaWorld Orlando is opening a brand new stand-up roller coaster this month. This will be the first new stand-up coaster installed in over 20 years. Pipeline the Surf Coaster will feature updated restraints and is aimed to simulate the sensation of surfing. While this ride model was once thought to be dead, it seems to be making a comeback. Similar to stand-up coasters, a new flying coaster has not been installed in the US since 2009. This ride likely isn't gone forever, but they do pull very intense positive G-forces and tend to make riders motion sick. Many of these rides are themed to Superman in the US, where you can find them at 3 different Six Flags parks. Riders board these coasters while sitting down before tilting to the flying position before the ride dispatches. Depending on the manufacturer, you may not face the ground until you reach the top of the lift hill. If you're lucky, the newer version of this ride model may even feature a launch. Now let's get back to the sit-down coasters, because the remaining sit-down coasters discussed in this video are categorized based on the type of train they use and/or the train's orientation to the track. A floorless coaster consists of a train that allows a rider's feet to hang freely below while riding on top of the track. Riders board these coasters by walking across a mechanical loading platform that then drops before dispatching the riders through the rest of the layout. These coasters are a lot of fun and let you kick your legs throughout the ride. These rides are typically focused on inversions and powerful G-forces and can be found at a variety of parks across the world. A similar ride model is the dive coaster. Many of these rides utilize floorless trains, but their signature feature is a 90-degree drop that begins with riders being dangled over the edge with a holding brake. The holding brake holds riders for anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds before dropping them down straight vertically at heights reaching over 200 feet tall. Depending on the particular coaster, these may or may not pull decent positive Gs, but this ride model is more about the airtime on the drops. You've probably seen these on various clickbait coaster videos across the internet. While the dive coaster and floorless coaster both sit on top of the track, there are a couple of ride models that actually sit beneath it. The first model we will discuss is the inverted coaster. These are normally very fast-paced, intense coasters focused on powerful positive G-forces. As mentioned, you actually hang below the track on an inverted coaster, which gives a free and open feeling that many coasters can't match. If you've ever ridden a Batman the Ride model at Six Flags, odds are you have ridden one of these rides. Batman models are smaller and more compact, but these rides can reach heights of nearly 200 feet tall. They can also be built on a smaller scale and provide a more graceful ride experience like Dragonflyer at Dollywood. The other coaster model that hangs below the track is known as a suspended coaster. At first glance, these may look like an inverted roller coaster, but they differ in the fact that a suspended coaster is able to swing side to side throughout the ride. These coasters are much more tame and serve more of the family market at parks. They are more intermediate coasters for those that may be intimidated by the larger, more intense rides out there. Sadly, there are not many of these coasters around anymore, as their manufacturer, Aerodynamics, went out of business in the early 2000s. So a lot of these rides are reaching the end of their service lives, and parks are opting for more up-to-date investments. Okay, so we rode on top of the track, and we rode beneath the track. Now let's talk about coasters that ride beside the track. Wing coasters, and perhaps the craziest of all coaster models, fourth dimension coasters. A wing coaster is characterized by sitting riders on both sides of the track, with the actual mechanics of the ride sitting between them. Many of these coasters are themed to birds, planes, ships, and other flying objects, and for good reason. These are fairly graceful attractions that typically focus on large swooping maneuvers. Many of these coasters also feature incredible views, being built on top of a mountain or beside a body of water. Another key characteristic of many of these wing coasters are near-miss elements that make riders feel like they are going to crash into something. Depending on the side of the train you're on, this may feel like what we call a head or a foot chopper. If those near-miss elements sounded crazy, imagine all of the same sensations you experience on a wing coaster and add in a ride vehicle that flips randomly throughout the ride, because that is what a fourth dimension coaster does. There are very few of these monster coasters around, with the only major one in the US being X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Imagine going through an inversion and taking a drop while upside down or actively flipping. That's exactly what these rides do. While these are the more insane fourth dimension coasters, many manufacturers have scaled down the ride model in recent years and have made it on more of a smaller scale. These rides are typically called 4D free spins, but other varieties do exist. Regardless, this model of ride is definitely one of the most crazy out there. There are many other roller coaster models out there as well, but these are some of the main ones. Other more rare models include single rail coasters, which are becoming more popular, shuttle coasters, which feature both backwards and forward sections, and the more self-explanatory spinning and water types of coasters. There's also some oddballs out there like the bobsled coaster, which can be steel or wood, and the hamster wheel like this one seen here. Manufacturers are continuing to innovate, and this list is only going to continue to grow over the years. If I had made this list in the 90s, this list would have been half the length that it is now. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found this educational on some of the many types of roller coasters that are out there. If there's anything you want me to address in a future video, be sure to let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, be sure to drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel as well for more roller coaster and theme park content just like this. If you want to follow me on Instagram as well, then you can find me there at Dr_Coaster. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.